Hey, class, welcome back. We are still talking about the American Revolution today, and today we're talking about the Declaration of Independence because the Declaration of Independence was signed during the middle of the American Revolution. It was signed about a year or so after it was created and signed about a year or so after the revolution started. So, and that's what we're talking about today. The Declaration of Independence. It was a declaration of, hey, we're declaring ourselves free from England. We're breaking away from England. That's what it was. It was a statement saying that, and it listed all the reasons why. It didn't just tell it told why that what they had done, that how they had trespassed against them, and so that's what we're talking about today. The Declaration of Independence. So the 13 colonies in America that had been at war with Britain. It was about a year or so when the Second Continental Congress decided, hey, it's time for the colonies to officially declare our independence. Uh, that meant they were going to break away from British rule. They were no longer going to be a part of Britain, and they were going to fight for their freedom just like they had been for the past year. The Declaration. The 13 colonies in the Americas had been at war with Britain for around a year when the Second Continental Congress decided it was time for the colonies to officially declare their independence. This meant that they were breaking away from British rule. They would no longer be a part of the British Empire and would fight for their freedom. All right. So who wrote the Declaration of Independence? It wasn't just one person. Well, it was just one person. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson wrote the original draft, but there was a committee of five. You had Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, Roger Sherman, and Thomas Jefferson. And the members decided that Thomas Jefferson should write the first draft, and he did so good on his first draft that they didn't do nothing. They made minor changes to it afterwards, but he did write the first draft. Thomas Jefferson did, but it was a committee of five that was in charge of writing and making sure the Declaration was right and had everything in it that they needed. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? On June 11, 1776, the Continental Congress appointed five leaders called the Committee of Five to write a document explaining why they were declaring their independence. The five members were Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, Roger Sherman, and Thomas Jefferson. The members decided that Thomas Jefferson should write the first draft. All right, so did everyone agree? No, not everyone agreed on declaring independence from England or Britain. Some wanted to wait until the colonies had stronger alliances with foreign countries, and in the first round of voting, whenever they decided to vote on it, South Carolina and Pennsylvania, they both voted no, while New York and Delaware chose not to vote at all. And so the Congress wanted the vote to be unanimous. He wanted everybody or the majority of everybody to agree. So they kept discussing these issues. The next day, July the 2nd, South Carolina came back and Pennsylvania, and they both said yes. They reversed what they had done the day before. And so Delaware decided to vote as well, and they voted yes. And this meant that the Declaration of Independence was passed with 12 yes votes and one abstinence. All right, or abstention, meaning that New York chose not to vote. So New York in all this chose not to vote at all. So 12 out of 13 colonies voted yes. Finally. Did everyone agree? Not everyone agreed at first on declaring independence. Some wanted to wait until the colonies had secured stronger alliances with foreign countries. In the first round of voting, South Carolina and Pennsylvania voted no, while New York and Delaware chose not to vote. The Congress wanted the vote to be unanimous, so they continued to discuss the issues. The next day, July the 2nd, South Carolina and Pennsylvania reversed their votes. Delaware decided to vote yes as well. This meant that the agreement to declare independence passed with 12 yes votes and one abstention, meaning New York chose not to vote. All right, so July the 4th. On July the 4th, 1776, Congress officially adopted the final version of the Declaration of Independence. After Thomas Jefferson wrote it, they made a few amendments, a few changes to it, but it was so good that they didn't make a whole lot of changes, but they did make some. And so this day, July the 4th, 1776, is celebrated in the United States as Independence Day. After everybody signed the document, the copies were sent out to all the colonies. The Declaration was read aloud in public and published in newspapers, and they also sent a copy to the British government. July 4, 1776. On July 4, 1776, the Congress officially adopted the final version of the Declaration of Independence. This day is still celebrated in the United States as Independence Day. After the signing, the document was sent to a printer to make copies. Copies were sent to all the colonies where the Declaration was read aloud in public and published in newspapers. A copy was also sent to the British government.
All right, so famous words. So the Declaration did say more than just the colonies wanted their freedom. It actually explained why they wanted their freedom. It listed all the bad things that the king had done to the colonies, and the rights which they felt they should fight for. And one of the most famous statements in the history of the United States is in the Declaration of Independence. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, or pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So this is some famous words from the Declaration of Independence that I just read.
Famous words. The Declaration of Independence did more than just say the colonies wanted their freedom. It explained why they wanted their freedom. It listed all the bad things that the king had done to the colonies, and the colonies had rights which they felt they should fight for. Perhaps one of the most famous statements in the history of the United States is in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
All right, so our comprehension questions. Who wrote the first draft of the Declaration? Was it A. Thomas Jefferson, B. Mr. Shaw, or C. Abraham Woodhull? It is A. Thomas Jefferson. He was on the Committee of Five, and they chose him to write the first draft.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number two, who made up the Committee of Five? Was it A. John Hancock and Samuel Adams, B. with Jefferson, Franklin, Adams, Sherman, and Livingston, or C. Benjamin Talmadge? It was B. Jefferson, Franklin, Adams, Sherman, and Livingston. Those were called the Committee of Five.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number three, what date was it finished and is now America's Independence Day? A. 1920, B. 2076, or C. July the 4th, 1776. Our Independence Day is July the 4th, 1776.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
And number four, which is one of the famous lines from the Declaration? Is it A? Is it B, to be or not to be? Or C, who let the dogs out? Arf, arf. It is A, we hold these truths to be self-evident. I'm not going to read that whole statement.
We have a winner.
It is A. A is the one. And that is all of them for today. Be sure you go on Schoology. You go back through this, read through it, and answer your comprehension questions at the end, and then submit it so you get credit for it. And I will see you next time. We will be talking about George Washington and the crossing of Delaware. Then we'll talk about his biography on George Washington. So I look forward to that, and y'all may see me dressed up as George Washington next time. So I will see you all then. You all have a good day.